Now, Ofcom says it welcomes the steps taken by X to prevent its AI chatbot, Grok, creating sexual deepfakes.
It comes after days of us bringing news stories about people using Grok to create undressed pictures of women and girls without their consent.
Well, the UK regulator says it's still investigating what went wrong and what's being done to fix it. And it's a scandal that's once again raised some serious questions about the dangers of AI being unregulated. Well, joining us now is Andrea Miotti, who's the Chief Executive of ControlAI, which is an organisation working to reduce the impact of AI on humans. So, very good morning to you. Thanks so much for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
This Grok issue has kind of really started a conversation, hasn't it, about lots of issues about AI in our lives, but also about the prevalence of deep fakes. I mean, first of all, talk us through to what extent deep fakes are an issue.
Yeah, so absolutely. We have seen an explosion in deepfakes in the last few years. Already in 2023, like sexually abusive deepfakes became very, very commonplace, unfortunately. And this hasn't let down over the years. This is why we're seeing all of this outcry right now. And a big issue here is that generally with these very powerful AI systems like Grok, they can't just do pictures. They can do other things like writing software, reasoning about problems, planning. And a big issue is that, and it's common across the industry, is that not even their own creators really understand how they work internally and don't really understand how to keep them under control. That's why we're seeing this issue right now, and that's why experts are worried.
And Andrea, unregulated AI, unregulated deepfakes, how much does that concern you personally?
A lot, and kind of even beyond deepfakes. The big problem is that right now, in most countries, in the UK, in the US, elsewhere, there's more regulation on a sandwich than on AI that can be very, very dangerous. And AI companies are investing hundreds of billions of dollars to make these AI systems smarter and smarter every day, with the explicit goal of replacing people with machines almost across all tasks. And that's really dangerous.
Well, if we talk about the specific Grok issue, that did prompt the regulator here, Ofcom, to launch an investigation. The government threatened to block the use of Grok in this country, and they've also sort of pushed to ensure that a law criminalising the creation of this kind of imagery was pushed along. So can the law and can regulation be an effective tool, do you think?
Absolutely, regulation can be an effective tool. The issue here is that the government is playing reactive. The issue with deepfakes has been going on for years, and AI's capabilities in image generation, but also across the board, have been exploding. And right now, the government is reacting to outcry, and we will see exactly what new policies they put in place. But to deal with these problems and with the more and more problems that will come going forward with AI as it gets more powerful, the government needs to be proactive, not reactive. It needs to start regulating the development of this technology, not just waiting for abuse to happen and then step in.
Yeah, and we're having also this conversation in this country for a potential ban on, say, social media for under 16s. And when you think about AI and deepfakes, particularly for children, there's a huge issue there because there will be children logging on that don't know the difference between talking to a chatbot in a gaming site online. And that's where the problem lies also. It's education for younger people to understand this area too.
Yeah, absolutely. And also disclosure to understand, am I talking to a real person or am I talking to a machine? Increasingly, kind of reality around us will start to blur. We're already seeing it right now, where AI is so powerful that pictures look lifelike. Videos nowadays look lifelike. It used to be the case that there's a famous example of the Will Smith eating spaghetti. Like 2 years ago, that looked very strange and you could clearly tell it was AI. Nowadays, the best AI models, it looks like it's the actor in the flesh acting. And we need regulation yesterday.
But how do you bring regulation in when this is an industry that is developing so fast? It's very hard for the regulation to keep up with that. And also, it's global. These companies are being able to be accessed all across the world, and yet our laws are national. So how do you control it?
Yeah, so on the fast side, I think that's especially why it's important for governments to be proactive. And ultimately, governments should set clear red lines, clear rules about what's acceptable and what's not. What's going on with AI is that it's a few companies deciding essentially the trajectory of a lot of our society and spending hundreds of millions of dollars to lobby against any form of regulation. Governments have dealt with large technological problems before and large risks before, and they can do it again. And I think most people want to see this taken under control. In terms of the global issue, this is an issue, but the UK is a major market, and the UK can set the standard. The UK has played a globally leading role before with things like the first ever AI Safety Summit, establishing the first ever AI Security Institute, and it can talk to partners like the US and other countries to find a good approach to this issue.
So when the online safety bill came into effect, there were suggestions that actually it hadn't taken into account AI at all. What would be your main advice to, say, Ofcom, to the government, about how they should be really tackling this issue?
Yeah, my main advice is that we need regulation directly on AI and not just to use existing regulation to deal with this exploding technology. So I believe the government should regulate the most powerful AI systems and especially focus on regulating the development, not just focus on the use. Focusing on the use is playing whack-a-mole with thousands or sometimes millions of users and not addressing the root cause and not setting the incentives that will lead this industry to focus on a good path.
Really interesting. Andrea Miotti, thanks so much for coming in and talking to us about this huge issue of our time. Thanks very much indeed.